Hello, everybody, and welcome back to your daily dose of Path of Exile 2 in the Dawn of the Hunt. We are going to be running with our Essence Drain Lich today, so let's go ahead and grab ourselves. I guess I'll do a tier 50. If we can find one that doesn't have, like, this is good. Elemental resistances. We're not dealing with elemental anything on this character, so yeah, let's go ahead and do this one. Boom, hop into there. My game is really loud for some reason. Turn that back down. So yeah, basically just cycling through my characters at this point. Trying to do my best to get through the maps as quickly as possible. I've gotten to the point where I'm not really trying to push for length on these. I'm just trying to, you know, do a map, play the character, enjoy it for a little bit, give you guys a little bit of in-game entertainment, and then end the game entertainment, and then move on with our day. Nothing too crazy. I feel like, you know, going through the map once, or going through a map once with each character every few days, probably enough. Probably enough. Try. Keep this going. Just trying to keep my disease spreading around as much as we can. Try to avoid getting hit by things as much as we can as well. Swapping back and forth between Essence Drain and Contagion. Just so we can get the Contagion to spread our Essence Drain around a little bit. Oh, starting to get a little bit swarmed there. Having them all close together like that is really great. You know, it makes it so that the Contagion works really well. But when you start getting swarmed by them, it's not so good. You want to kind of keep moving as best you can. Stay out of the little packs there. Most of this build is just continually getting DPS applied, or DOTs applied. Things die relatively quickly. It helps that, I mean, we don't even have really, like, maxed out resistances. One of the reasons why this build does fairly okay is because I've modified it slightly to run with skeletons. They distract some of the damage and make it so that I don't necessarily have everything attacking me. So very much like my freeze build, my freezing mercenary build, you know, it exerts a little bit of control over the situation, having some distractions running around. And it makes it less likely that, you know, some big slam's going to come in and just, like, decimate you. So I don't necessarily, I'm not necessarily, this isn't a minion build at all. These are kind of like an afterthought, but they do provide additional targets for things to go after. It kind of spreads the damage out a little bit so that, you know, not everything is coming straight at me. I think that's something to think about for builds. Just, you know, figuring out ways to, I don't know. I think minions in general, maybe not straight focus on minions, but, you know, just kind of keeping minions in the back of your head as something that's an option to kind of distract the enemies. Because, you know, more than once I have died from 2 or 3 shots coming in rapid succession. The first one stuns me and forces me to just sit and take the other 2, and then I'm dead. And it's like, that's not the best. So, something to be said for having a little bit of damage spreading out the damage a little bit. You don't need to invest in it heavily, but because, like, I haven't invested in these guys. I just have the scepter that has them automatically here. So there's always that. Get out of the way. And then you start getting swarmed. When you start getting swarmed, you got to start, like, trying to figure out how you're gonna get out of that. Totem down to get some extra DPS. I could just stand there and just spam and just, like, you know, straight Essence Drain all the way, but I'm paranoid about just, like, sitting still. I've backed myself into a corner. That was not smart. I've backed myself into a corner, terrain, all kinds of things that are conspiring to try to kill me. I'm I'm not like putting a lot of thought and effort into all of this, but at the same time, I am like trying to stay conscious of my position and just trying to not allow myself to get like backed up against anything. The randomness of the terrain and what will trip you up and what won't can be a little bit disorienting, especially when all of a sudden you just stop and you weren't expecting to stop. You have a moment of feeling trapped, and you panic slightly for a second, and then you're just like, what the hell? What's going on here? Oh, leveled up. Do I have something that's obvious that I'm working? Oh yeah, over here. Start of energy shield recharge. Definitely want that. Because most of our health is coming from energy shield. Oh. Keep these guys like piling up together so that we can spread all this stuff out. Put down our totem for DPS. For those of you who are wondering what these are, I have Temporal Chains and Despair both on Blasphemy. They are providing aura debuffs around me, and I have a lot of radius extension or area of effect extension on this build, so it allows me to have a pretty wide area of the Blasphemy working. It's nice. So every time I see a rare, I drop a totem because it gives me it adds to my single target DPS. Start getting these guys dying over here, which like I'm just trying to do ad management at this point. When I start seeing a bunch of stuff coming in, I just start running around and trying to get some DPS applied. So that way, hopefully by the time they get to me, they're mostly dead already. This becomes very difficult to do in closed-in spaces. This build does really well in open places where you have lots of room to move around. It's not so great for tight-in spaces like the dungeons and stuff like that. I mean, it works if you have to be extra careful when you do it, because you still need to, like, mobility is your friend in any build, but especially in this one while you're waiting for them to just kind of die off. Get our totem down to start doing some DPS. Get some focus fire on this rare right there. And it takes care of him. Move on. Pop down some Cajun. Alright. It's super satisfying to watch a wave of death just kind of... I have to say, there's just something satisfying about watching all the mobs just start going... I mean, it's at least as satisfying as like a full screen clear when you watch like a Herald of Lightning just yank across the screen and kill everybody. I would almost say it's almost more satisfying because it's like a more drawn out and like painful looking process. So you get to enjoy the experience of it more as the wave of death just kind of slowly meanders across the screen. And then you get the blues and you gotta wait a little bit longer for the chain to start. You guys start clearing out some of this trash over here. Yeah, this is gonna start getting ridiculous. So let's get the chain reaction started. Oh, we never killed. Oh, is this guy brand new? I don't know. All right, let's finish getting this guy dead. And then we can switch over to this guy. Put another totem down to get focusing fire on him. The totem doesn't add crazy DPS, but it does add a very noticeable amount of DPS. So. It's always worth it once you get to a single target. Once you get down to a single target, at least, it's absolutely worth it to just drop that down. For everything else, Essence Drain and Contagion are more or less all you need. I mean, realistically, I can just apply it to each group and just keep moving. Another reason I kind of hang out and wait is A, to watch the death happen, and then B, to pick up any gear that might drop. For the most part, it's just gold, though. theoretically, for most mobs, you could just apply Essence Drain and then Contagion as long as you get to a group, and everything should pretty much just die. You don't have to necessarily wait for it. Okay. Moving on. I'm gonna speed this up just a little bit because I'm getting a little tired of this map. DPS down on this guy. Come on, get out of the terrain. The terrain, man. My issue with the terrain is not that there's terrain, it's that in real life you would notice and maneuver around things like that. You wouldn't just continue running up against it. And that's where I think game developers need to put a little bit more thought and effort into terrain navigation, because, you know, yeah, I could physically move around it, but me in physically in person, if I was doing something like that, I would just step over the obstacle, or, you know, side shift around the obstacle. Oops, side shift around the obstacle, or whatever it is I need to do to make that happen. You know, like, I wouldn't just stand there and blindly run into it. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But anyways, that's going to be it for today's episode. Hopefully you guys had lots of fun. Be sure to click that like button, subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. Join as a member for early access to videos, among other perks. Or you can just leave YouTube's version of a tip with that thanks button. I also have PayPal and Patreon links for those of you who prefer that route. So again, thanks for watching. Be sure to come back for the next video, and I'll see you then.